another question.
More questions from your buddies.
Yes, because I
Okay.
think a lot of people, especially kids, right, they hate to eat vegetables.
Oh yes. Tell
That's
me
why
about
they
it.
say they see it's green and then they say yucks.
I know.
It's quite common, right? So is really vegetables. Must we eat more vegetables?
Let me tell you something interesting about the kids hating greens.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one actually, to be honest, can't blame the kids. It's the
Okay.
parents. Because a lot of
Okay.
parents, because we see a lot of young babies who come for vaccination at our clinic,
Yes.
and we do developmental assessment for them and all that. So parents tend to ask us. So when they switch from milk to start to feed them solids,
Yes.
they ask, oh, how should we do it? And then a lot of people have weird ideas about how they should do it. So one of the funny common thing that we see is everyone gives their babies fruit puree.
Yes.
Yeah, and as one of the earliest things that they give the babies, because they find that it's nice and it's easy to make, so they give it to the babies. But that's a terrible thing to do.
Really?
Because fruit
Okay.
is very rich in sugars. It has a lot of fructose.
Okay.
So fructose is a type of simple sugar like glucose. Yeah. So when you feed them that, they get accustomed to the taste. And then later on, if you give them something bitter like bitter gourd, or maybe bell pepper like green pepper, of course the baby won't eat it. So because it's not tasty anymore. So most babies will reject or not eat with as much joy because they don't find it tasty. So the better sequence is when your baby is small, you start with grains, then you go with vegetables, and then you go with things like fish and egg yolks, then maybe a little bit of meat, then you introduce fruits. So that sequence will at least allow them to experience the joy of eating something sweet later. So and then they don't really reject vegetables later on. So now that we have covered that, back to your question. So vegetables. So what good are vegetables, right?
Yes.
I mean, okay. The thing about the human body is that we are actually technically not designed to be able to digest vegetables. Isn't that interesting? So because we generally do not have this enzyme in our intestines known as cellulase, because cellulose is the most prevalent type of sugar in vegetables. I wouldn't say it's a sugar, it's what you call a polysaccharide. It's a type of sugar chain. So that's found in vegetables, right? So in order to break it down into a simple sugar, you need something called cellulase.
Okay.
But we humans don't have it. Herbivores have that. Like for example, elephants. They have cellulase, so they can eat lots and lots of leaves and they can digest them, but we can't. So when you can't do that, what happens to the food that can't be digested?
So it's stuck.
Yes, it forms something called roughage,
Okay.
which forms fiber, right?
Yes.
So that's why parents always tell us eat your vegetables, then you can poop freely, right? So the idea is the fiber comes from the fact that we can't digest it properly, which is how we end up with the fiber. But so if everything is going to turn to fiber, what's the benefit of eating vegetables, right? We can just maybe take a fiber drink and not eat vegetables. That's where you're wrong. So the idea is, yes, it does contribute towards fiber and keeping your bowel active, but it has lots of surface nutrients, things that are found on the surface of the vegetables, particularly folic acid. Yeah, it's very particularly green vegetables like spinach, kangkong, all these things. They have a lot of folic acid, which is really important for our cell function. And there are also many other trace minerals, things like zinc, things like magnesium. So these are all found primarily in vegetables. So if you overwash or you overcook your vegetables, cook until there's nothing left, then problem lah. Then all you get is fiber. So which is why every now and then you should eat it a little bit fresh, like salads.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, instead of always cooking your vegetables.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I always boil my broccoli.
Correct,
right?
because you see, they'll tell you, no, this one got pesticide, you better cook. So this kind of concept, you end up with lots of myths and guiding your cooking.
Okay,
So
now I know.
don't believe these things. The idea is, yes, of course, there's a lot of pesticide used nowadays. You should wash your vegetables or clean them, but not excessively, because you are compromising on the nutrition that you get. So I got patients who are vegetarians. Mind you, they're vegetarians. Means basically they just eat vegetables.
Yes.
And these patients, when they come to my clinic and do complain of certain things like muscle weakness, nerve pains, tingling in their feet, numbness in their hands, I tell them, there's a very high probability that you're folic acid deficient or vitamin B12 deficient. So then we check, and then interestingly, the vegetarian, they're supposed to be B12 deficient because B12 is found mostly in meat. But then they had folate deficient as well. So then I asked them, why? Is it because you're overcooking it? Yeah. We especially my fellow Indian patients.
Yes.
So when they cook, they add the masala, the spices, everything. So end up the fruit, the vegetable is so tasty, but there's nothing from it. All you get is roughage. Yeah. So the idea is every now and then you should also have salads. They are quite helpful because they will provide you with the other trace nutrients that you need. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, but old days my parents always tell me you should fry until the vegetables become very soggy.
Yeah,
very
soft and so on. Yeah. I mean, this is maybe I don't know what's the logic behind that, but it could be because it used to be big families living together, and they had to make sure that the older patients with no teeth or they had dental problems, so it would be easier for them to eat, or young kids it would be easier for them to chew. Maybe that was the logic behind it. But then nowadays we're all small nuclear families, so I think we don't really have to practice this thing anymore. We should probably have a good mix of cooked vegetables and also salads. I think that will contribute to better health benefits.